Back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Clare head football coach Stephen Spranger. How are you?
Doing pretty well, Casey. How are you?
Doing well. So another season is upon us. I know the summer portion of the year just wrapped up. We're kind of in this off week. How are things going with you guys?
Things are going well. We had a great team camp down at Montrose High School. That's kind of like the pinnacle of our summer. We work towards that, and then we get a good idea of what our team's going to be like after that. 20 teams, over 850. It was good for on a lot of fronts.
Okay. So coming into this year, just talk about the group that you have coming into 2024. What are, obviously lots of a lot of the skill guys are back, but you do have to replace some guys.
Yeah, certainly. We got pretty much all our skill guys coming back and a lot of good depth coming from the JV program from last year. We got to replace 80% of our offensive line. And as any coach will tell you, the game is won and lost up front. So that's gonna be a challenge for us. But we've been working hard this entire summer, and we think we got a good lean on our first five.
Okay. All right. Let's go over let's go over all those guys. Time to talk about all the returners, all the guys to watch this year. Let's start with the offense, then we'll go to the defense, then special teams.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So we're returning our 3-year starting quarterback, Jaden Arthur. He's had a tremendous summer and tremendous offseason. He's been working since November on a lot of different things. 4.0 kid. He's just a super heady guy that's always going to get us in the right spot. So we're really looking forward to seeing where he can go and where he can take this offense from his junior to his senior year. Um, and then on the outside, returning second team All-State specialist Ryan Lauch, just a dynamite athlete, can do anything on the field really. With the ball in his hands, he can make a guy miss and take it the distance, or he can lower his shoulder and get the tough yards when needed too. So looking forward for those two to really have a good connection. And then Jacob Halachek, who was up with us last year as a sophomore. He's going to be a junior this year, obviously, and really excited to see his growth as well. He's a different type of athlete than Ryan is. Ryan's not necessarily small, but Jacob is about 6'3", and taller, lankier, really high points the ball well. So really excited for those two on the edge. And then as far as the slots go, it's gonna be riding the hot hand. We got Dane Alexander, who is actually the quarterback of our freshman team, coming up. He'll be up with us as a sophomore. He is a lot like Ryan Lauch's as far as the athleticism goes. And then Conan Weeks, who's going to be a junior. He actually just won Division III long jump. So I mean, you have that type of athlete, and he had a really good year at the JV level as well. And I mean, I could continue to go on the list, but those are the guys that are sticking out so far. And then our running back is technically a new starter. He was with us last year. He Aiden Van Bond, he had over 300 yards rushing, playing behind Weston Bryant last year, but he was averaging over 7 yards a carry. So really excited to see him do his work between the tackles, and as we get the ball out in space to the other guys.
Okay, let's go to the defense.
Defensively, it's going to be a lot of the same guys that you just heard me mention. The linebacker core is going to be led by Aiden Van Bond. He was our leading tackler last year. And then we also have Joey Bushy. He's a 3-year player with us. He's never really got the clout or the stats that other guys have had, but just a really steady guy. Definitely on the smaller side, but he's from a long lineage of Bushies that breathe football. So super excited to see what he can do. And then on as far as the secondary goes, a lot of the same guys I just mentioned. Louch is going to play safety for us. I mean, he's a ball hawk, and he's always looking to create a turnover. Halachek played a really good corner for us last year. Weeks could play corner. Arthur could play corner. I mean, that's definitely the strength of our team is our depth in our skill positions. So we're going to be able to roll a lot of guys and not have that great of a drop off. Up front, again, just like the offensive line, that's where we've got to do a lot of replacing. We have Chase Randall, who's a 3 year starter for us, 3 year or back to back all conference actually, defensive end. So looking for him to really take a step up and become the leader of that group. And like I said on the offense, the game is won and lost in the trenches. So hopefully, we can really piece together that defensive line and create a lot of problems up front.
All right. Let's go to special teams.
Yeah, special teams is going to be a little bit different for us. We've been lucky to have Camden Babcock kicking for us for the last 3 or 4 years. He's now basically already been named the starter at Olivet. So Dane Cruzcamp is a senior he's always been on the football team. He's never done soccer or anything like that. And when Camden was down with an injury last year, he was in pre-practice kicking the ball, and we're like, "You got a pretty good leg," and he's like, "I really like this kicking thing," and he's been working with our kicking coach since November, and really excited to see what he can do. Talking with Camden, who's been working with him a lot one-on-one, he's like, he's a natural. He doesn't have like the soccer tendencies or anything like that. He's just a true football kicker, basically. So we're looking to see what he can do as far in the kicking game.
All right. Well, we've talked about the kids. Now let's talk about the schedule. And if you've been watching this channel, you've noticed there's a few new teams that are in the Jack Pine Conference. Of course, more teams were added in. So I'll go over the schedule really quick. August 29th, home against Grayling. September 6th at Sanford Meridian. Of course, kind of like the one crossover from the other side of the league until we get to week 8. September 13th, home against Midland Bullock Creek. September 20th at Gladwin. September 27th, home against Ogama Heights. October 4th at Standish Sterling. October 11th at Shepherd. October 18th, as I mentioned before, that is the crossover game for the Jack Pine, and I believe your side of the division is hosting it, if I'm not mistaken.
It's going to be the other side this year. It's the small or Division Two.
The Division Two, okay. And of course, I should mention, Clare is in Division One along with the other teams I just mentioned. And then, of course, the regular season will finish out on the 25th, home against Petoskey. All right, pretty good schedule. New teams are in the division. You're familiar with some of them. Obviously with Shepherd and Gladwin. But there's of course, Ogama Heights is coming in, Bullock Creek, and also Standish Sterling.
No, I mean it's as far as Division 5, Division 6, our size of school, I don't think there's a better division or league in the state. It's going to be competitive every single week. And it's like certainly exciting. I mean, every team that you listed that's on our schedule has made the playoffs within the last 2 years. So it's certainly going to be a challenge, but with the nature of our program and the success that we've had in the past, our expectations aren't going to change. So we're expecting to go and compete every single week. And like you mentioned, the likes of Bullock Creek, Gladwin, Ogama, Standish, Shepherd, those are some really good teams, and we're going to have to show up week in and week out in order to come out successful.
All right. And now just really take, next few weeks coming up, what are they going to look like? Because, as I mentioned before, it's a short period of time before we start practice on the 12th, and then the 29th is literally right around the corner.
Yeah, it certainly is. And a different kind of thing that we're dealing with this year is school starts so much earlier. Our kids are back in school August 19th. So we only have 1 week with them where they're not in school, and a large majority of our staff is in school that week for teacher PD days. So it's a little bit of a different schedule than what we're used to, but it's the same schedule for everyone that we're going to have to play. So we're just going to have to deal with it and persevere through that. We're going to start our season off with our annual midnight practice. It's a great setup just because it kind of It's the height and excitement. It's under the lights. It's nice and cool. And we'll be there from midnight to 4 a.m. It's a long practice. It kind of sets your sleep schedule back a little bit. But I've got a 7, 4, and 1 year old, so I'm used to not sleeping. It's the other coaches that have to deal with it. But and then we'll come in and we'll do a fundraiser that night. So they go home, sleep all day, and then we'll bring them in for our annual fundraiser, and then they're off again until Tuesday at 5. So the nice thing about doing that so early from midnight to 4 is you can give them a physical break from 4 a.m. all the way to 5 p.m. on Tuesday. So not often that many teams get that big of a gap as far as a physical break goes. We still may ask them to come in and do some mental stuff. But that's one thing that we've really had a lot of success with is that second practice is normally one of our better practices because they're so well rested. And then the second Thursday we come in with our scrimmage, and we're really excited about our scrimmage this year. We're hosting Beale City, Reed City, and Essexville Garber. So a lot of quality teams, and we're going to be able to see a lot of different defenses, a little different offenses. And then we're in game week. Like you said, it's here before we know it.
All right. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for the time as always, and best of luck to the Pioneers this coming season.
I appreciate it, Casey. Thank you.